Friends, today we are in the city of Zvornik. This is a small but quite neat and small city with a big destiny. The city is located on the border between the Republika Srpska within Bosnia and Herzegovina and Serbia itself. The city and the countries are separated by the Drina River. There is a unique 100-year-old bridge with an interesting history. Bridge with a checkpoint and crossing the border of states. Here the local population walks from Bosnia across the Drina River to Serbia and back. This bridge is used only by the local population. A passport from a foreign country will not be suitable for crossing this bridge. To do this, you will have to go to another checkpoint, which is located 5 kilometers from here, outside the city. People visit each other and trade across the border. There's a lot going on here. And our historical walk here will be fast and intense. We will begin a walk through the streets of the ancient city that stretches along the Drina River. And we will end in an amazing fortress, which is more than 7 centuries old. So, we are in the city of Zvornik, and here we begin our fascinating walk through the city, located on the border of territorial entities and states. This is a city in Bosnia and Herzegovina. As I said earlier, it is located in the Republika Srpska, on the left bank of the Drina River. In 2013, its population was 59,000 inhabitants. We begin our route from the Cathedral of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which stands on the Drina River, and proceed along the embankment to the old bridge of King Alexander I Karađorđević. While we are passing by, I will say a few words about this Orthodox cathedral in the city. In the Republika Srpska, located on the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Christian Cathedral of the Nativity of the Virgin Mary was consecrated only in 2023. The rite of the great consecration of the temple was then performed by the Serbian Patriarch Porphyry, who specially arrived for this from Belgrade. The Cathedral of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary is the first Orthodox church built in Zvornik in almost 2 centuries. Another existing church in the city, the Nativity of John the Baptist, was built in 1823. As you can see, it was a long time ago. At the opening, the Patriarch of the Serbian Orthodox Church told the audience, "Brothers and sisters, here in Zvornik we best see what the Orthodox Church is. We are united in the Church. There was a time when we lost our lands. There was a time when we lived in different lands. This is the situation today, but the Orthodox Serbian people, even when they did not have their own state, lived a full life because they lived their Church and their Orthodox faith." The territories inhabited by Bosnian Serbs declared the independence of their Republika Srpska in early 1992 during the Bosnian War, in response to the secession of Bosnia and Herzegovina from Yugoslavia, initiated at the same time by the Bosniaks, Muslim Bosnians. Since then, things have not been very good with Orthodox churches in this territory. But the situation improved with the appearance of this religious building. The town of Mali Zvornik, which means Little Zvornik, is located just across the river in Serbia. They are separated by an old bridge. At the end of the video, we will also go towards the Grade Kula. This is a village on a hill that is part of the Zvornik municipality. There is a medieval fort there, the Zvornik Fortress, built at the beginning of the 7th century. The fortress still stands on the Malad Ivac mountain ridge overlooking the Drina Valley. From there is a beautiful view of the river valley, the city, and the Zvornik hydroelectric power plant. In general, this city on the border of states was first mentioned in 1410, although at that time it was known as Zvornik, which means bell tower. The city's geographic location made it an important trade link between Bosnia and the east. For example, the main road connecting Sarajevo and Belgrade passes through this city. So we came to the old bridge, which today connects 2 countries, Serbia and Bosnia, that is, the Republika Srpska. The bridge is 150 meters long and 7 meters wide. After Serbian King Alexander Karađorđević visited the site, in 1922 Serbian merchants began planning to build a bridge at the site where the king landed. On the other side of the bridge in the rock on Serbian territory is the underground complex of King Alexander Karađorđević. This place was recently opened to visitors. In fact, this is an underground bunker in case of large-scale war, the construction of which began in 1931 by order of the Serbian king. The shelter is located near a pedestrian bridge on the river, on a rocky hill, and was intended to house the royal family and the high military command of the Royal Yugoslav Army. The main architect was a Russian mining engineer. The facility was built using the latest technologies of the time. For the construction of underground structures, workers were brought and picked up at night so that they did not know where they were and what they were building. In 1934, after the assassination of the Serbian monarch Alexander Karađorđević in Marseille, work was suspended. By that time, 75 rooms and several kilometers of roads connecting them had been built, as well as a water supply system from the Drina River. The entire complex must have occupied a much larger area, as evidenced by one of the underground routes, which is more than 20 kilometers long. The last meeting of the government of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia was held here before leaving for exile in 1941, after Hitler ordered the invasion of the country. Well, under the bridge you have already seen interesting graffiti that refers us to the Bosnian War of the 90s of the 20th century. In the meantime, we move to the side of the city itself from the embankment and walk along the city streets. Therefore, we will return to the history of the city. So, from 1433 to 1459 the city was part of Serbia. In the Middle Ages, this strong city was considered a key city on the Drina River. It protected the roads leading to the infamous Srebrenica and inland. The city was one of the largest centers of trade within Bosnia. And in it, as in some other cities of Bosnia, there was a colony of Dubrovnik residents. Zvornik Podredihe was connected by a fortress wall with the main tower located on a high mountain. But this did not save the city, as it was captured by the Turks during their conquest of Bosnia in 1463. On October 8, 1464, Zvornik was besieged by the Hungarian king Matthias I with an army of 30,000 soldiers. After unsuccessfully shelling the city with cannons, the Hungarians retreated on November 9 of the same year. The Turks divided the city into upper and lower and remained in it. And on the site of the undergrad a city grew. According to the Turkish traveler Evliya Çelebi, the two cities were ruled by one Distar, and the guard consisted of 150 people. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Zvornik lost its strategic importance for a time. During the Ottoman Empire, Zvornik was the capital of the Zvornik Sanjak, i.e., administrative region, within the Bosnian Islet. This was primarily due to the decisive role of the city in the economy and the strategic importance of the city's location. The Sanjak of Zvornik was one of the 6 Ottoman Sanjaks with the most developed shipbuilding. During the Great Turkish War, which was fought as successive military conflicts between the Ottoman Empire and a union of Christian European states, the so-called Holy League, which included the Holy Roman Empire, Habsburg Austria, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Russian Tsardom, the Republic of Venice and Malta. In 1688 the city was nevertheless taken by the Austrians. 4,000 citizens fled from here to the capital of present-day Bosnia, to the city of Sarajevo. After the retreat of the Austrian army, the refugees returned to their hometown. After the conclusion of the Peace of Karlowitz between Austria, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Republic of Venice on the one hand and the Ottoman Empire on the other, the city was restored. Subsequently, 2 more sieges occurred, but they were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, we approached the old bridge again. This time I will show you the border crossing. Today it is a pedestrian bridge and serves as a low border crossing between Republika Srpska in Bosnia and the Republic of Serbia. The grand opening and consecration of the bridge took place on January 12, 1930, which was personally attended by King Alexander. Since then, it has become the main attraction of the Zvornik embankment. But I forgot to mention that this bridge was completely demolished during the April War, the conflict in World War II between the Axis powers and the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. These events became more widespread as the invasion of Yugoslavia, immediately after the coup d'état in Yugoslavia, when a coup d'état was carried out in Belgrade by a group of senior Serbian officers shortly after the signing of the Treaty on Yugoslavia's accession to the Berlin Pact of 1940. Serbian nationalists, due to dissatisfaction with the policy of rapprochement between the regent Prince Paul and the Axis countries, removed him from power. At the same time, Germany perceived this as a challenge, which led to the German invasion of Yugoslavia and the subsequent division of the country. It must be said that after the end of the Second World War, work to expand and bring the bridge to its current state began in the fall of 1945. German and Italian prisoners were used as labor. But let us go back to the history of this city. At the end of the 18th century, Zvornik became the most powerful city in Bosnia. Already in 1806, Zvornik was home to Mehmed Bey Kulanovic, Bosnian Ottoman Ogo nobleman A. And in 1838, Zvornik was defended by 70 cannons. The then Turkish garrison existed until the occupation of Bosnia by Austria-Hungary in 1878, after which it was replaced by an Austrian garrison, which left the city with the collapse of Austria-Hungary in 1918. But the truce in this region was fleeting. The Second World War soon began. Ustasha troops of the fascist independent state of Croatia occupied Zvornik along with most of Bosnia in April 1941. The city was liberated only in July 1943 by the 1st Proletarian Brigade of Yugoslav partisans during the Battle of Zvornik. Then it was an assault by the People's Liberation Army of Yugoslavia, which took place on the night of the 4th to 5th July 1943. The forces of 3 brigades stormed the city, guarded by 2 Ustasha brigades, an infantry regiment and units of the 369th Wehrmacht Division. The assault ended with the victory of the partisans and the liberation of the city. The surviving Ustasha units of the Croats, who lost about 2,000 soldiers killed and wounded, fled across the bridge over the Drina, where they became part of the Russian Wehrmacht Corps. That is, they became part of the troops formed from white emigrants and citizens of the USSR who fought on the side of Nazi Germany. But times came when Greater Yugoslavia began to crumble after the reign of Broz Tito. During the Bosnian War, which occurred during the collapse of the Yugoslav state from 1992 to 1995, the Bosnian population of Zvornik was expelled from the city. The military attack on the Bosnians by paramilitaries coming from Serbia began on April 8, 1992. In April 1992, many European news stations reported daily on Serb armed attacks and massacres of the Bosnian population of Zvornik and surrounding villages. On the 19th of May 1992, the combined forces of the Yugoslav National Army, Serbian paramilitary forces and Arkan S Tigers, Serbian Volunteer Guard, took control of Zvornik and Mali Zvornik. The suburbs of Karakai and Selipek were places of detention where hundreds of local Bosniaks were killed. The remaining Bosniaks and non-Serbs were sent to camps and detention centers throughout the area. During the war, Serbian troops destroyed mosques in the city and its surroundings, considering this territory to be completely Orthodox Christian. But let us now talk about the cultural heritage of this city. Here is another graffiti. The sign says Cannes Film Festival. Yes, Emir Kusturica's film, Dad on a Business Trip, was filmed in this city. This is a very good film that I have watched several times. And I recommend you watch it too. The action of Kusturica's second full-length film is shown through the perception of a boy whose fate was connected with the events that escalated in the late 1940s. Then the Soviet-Yugoslav confrontation formed in society and the subsequent repressions against individuals who supported the policies of Stalin and the USSR. The Bosnian authorities opposed the filming of a film on such a painful topic. The film's script was considered several times at the Artistic Council of the film studio, where there were accusations of insufficient political consciousness and a lack of understanding of the political importance of the processes taking place in Yugoslavia from the 1940s to the 1950s. As a result, the film was produced only in 1985 and presented at the 38th Cannes Film Festival, where it was awarded the main prize, the Palme d'Or, and high critical acclaim. It is in this city that the father of a boy named Mesha, played by Serbian actor Mika Manojlovic, ends up in indefinite exile, first to work in the Yugoslav mines, and then to the city of Zvornik, where he works at a power plant, where he is transferred after hard work in the mine. Mesha falls out of favor with the Yugoslav State Security Service. This memorial plaque and graffiti were installed here on the initiative of the Zvornik Youth Society. Thus, the memory of the filming of this film in Zvornik is preserved. And we are celebrating 30 years since receiving the prestigious film award in Cannes. Well, it's time for us to climb to the fortress above the river, from where a beautiful view of the city opens. Zvornik Fortress, which I mentioned at the very beginning of this film, is a medieval castle located above the city overlooking the Podrinje Valley. The fortress is located at an altitude of 147 meters above sea level. The medieval town of Zvornik, under the name Đurđevgrad or Kula Grad, is first mentioned as the property of the Bosnian medieval feudal family Zlatonosovic in 1410, when the Hungarian king Sigismund was in the area. It is one of the largest medieval fortresses in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Part of this structure was destroyed in 1878 during the Austro-Hungarian invasion of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Ustaša forces of the fascist independent state of Croatia occupied the fortress along with the rest of Zvornik and most of Bosnia in April 1941. The fortress was liberated in July 1943 during the Battle of Zvornik. Beginning on the 8th of April 1992, approximately 300 soldiers of the Army of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina defended the fortress against Serbian soldiers of the Yugoslav People's Army during the early stages of the Bosnian War. After the Bosnian War, Zvornik became part of the Republika Srpska, and the new Serbian government built a church on the fortress grounds and moved the church bell from the village of Duvik to the new church to commemorate their victory over the Bosniaks. In May 2013, the remains of several victims of the 1990s war were discovered in Kula Grad. So, we climbed the fortress, got out of the car, reached the dilapidated wall, looked through it, and were left shocked. Somewhere far below the Dina meanders, Zvornik and Małe Zvornik live their usual lives. Only from above you can understand how small it is. The water boils under your feet at the foot of the hydroelectric dam, and beyond lies the reservoir, Lake Zvornitsko, and large villages along its banks. The air is transparent and clean. You can see everything down to the smallest detail, as if the houses below were not real, but lovingly made and arranged miniature models. The people who once built this fortress knew their job. The dominant height, everything is visible, everything is open for tens of kilometers. Put an artillery battery here, and it will block all traffic along the Dina and along it. It is only from Małe Zvornik that it seems that the fortress controls only the road passing under it. In fact, Małe Zvornik itself is entirely in her sights. Of course, The fortress was built at a time when people could only dream of the effectiveness of modern weapons. It has stood in its place for many centuries and remembers those times when it was not bullets and shells, but arrows, spears and swords that decided the outcome of any battle. It's time, finally, to talk about how this fortress is built, which has so many names: Jurchovgrad, Erinengrad, and also Kulagrad. The last name dates back to the times of Turkish rule. The Turkish word kula is translated as tower. This is a single fortress complex which consists of 3 cities, Lower, Middle, and Upper, and occupies a total area of about 49,000 square meters. Lower Castle, the same one that is clearly visible from Małe Zvornik, starts directly from the bank of the Drina, and through its gates passes the road connecting Zvornik with Sarajevo. The fortress walls rise along the rock to a height of about 20 meters, from where the structures of the next level of the fortress, the Middle City, begin. That, in turn, rises up to the building of the Old Palace, or the Great Tower, Velika Kula. And above it is the Upper Town, the most developed residential part of the complex, occupying the top of the Milojevac Hill, 407 meters above sea level. Once upon a time in the Upper Town there stood the very bell tower to which Zvornik owes its name, but for obvious reasons it did not survive the times of Turkish rule. Mehmed II Conqueror conquered not only Constantinople, but also Zvornik, where he erected a mosque in the Upper Town named after him. At the same time, residential buildings for the garrison and government officials appeared there, which over time turned into a residential area. But the Mosque of Mehmed II suffered the same fate as the first bell tower. Today, only the remains of the fortress walls and the powerful vaults of the room in which the artillery battery was located remain at the top. But a little further away, almost right next to the Upper Town, after the last civil war in Bosnia, a small Orthodox church was erected. Well, with this we will say goodbye to you. Be sure to rate this video, recommend it to your friends and forward it to each other. This will help the video rank better in YouTube search. Well, as always, leave your comments under the video. Be sure to write how you liked or disliked the city of Zvornik, the areas in which we walked in general. Don't forget to watch other videos on my channel. And we will definitely see you in new episodes on the channel soon.